What's going on, guys? I am John from Mr. Winnie Productions, and to kick things off, I want to say thank you all very much for watching my video on JDF. I received so much feedback, as well as some constructive criticism which I want to address, and I'm also going to provide some context about what happened between JDF and Hasbro at the permission of Aaron from Bat in the Sun, as he is the one who witnessed all of this. For starters, someone in the comments said that JDF doesn't own Tommy Oliver, and that Hasbro has every right to use his likeness. That is true, but at the same time, it's the principle. Jason didn't want any part of the anniversary special, and after years of saying yes to returning, the one time he tells them no, all of a sudden, is an issue. Even though he is no longer with us, the best way Hasbro could have honored his memory was to give him what he wanted. He never said stop making toys of him, he just didn't want to be in the special. Someone else commented saying that the original Blue Ranger actor had an idea to make his own Power Ranger series called Quantum Continuum. But that, however, was never made official. That was a different project. The original plans for Hasbro's Power Rangers reunion was going to be focused on Tommy and him trying to get his powers back. Another comment I got, and I saw several of these, is how Bat in the Sun is lying because it's getting close to the release of White Dragon and he wants to make money. White Dragon won't be released until Labor Day weekend, which is in September, so with all due respect, that argument is invalid. And in regards to people saying I'll only believe it if JDF says it, I'll get into that very soon. But before I do, people were also asking, why did JDF hate Lord Draken, and why didn't he say anything sooner? Aaron breaks everything down right here.
These people are asking, why did Jason not like Lord Draken? Well, in the beginning he did, because that was based off a similar story. I can't say that, not the whole thing at least, obviously some things were changed, but basically it's kind of a long story. But we pitched the story to Saban years ago, long before Lord Dragon came out, with a very, very similar story and a very similar design and so forth. And then I knew Kyle Higgins and I introduced Kyle to Jason, and basically that idea kind of, it took a left turn, but then Lord Draken came out of that, and Jason was very excited about that, and it did not turn into what Jason was promised or what he thought it was, and Jason felt very kind of betrayed by it. So while he loved that the fans loved the character, and Jason always loved the fans, and he always loved fans celebrating Power Rangers, and he never wanted anyone to dislike Power Rangers or dislike the brand, because he felt that he helped build the brand, and he never wanted that to be tarnished. But he felt that a lot of people involved with that, sadly, were not truthful or being honest, and he ended up unfriending people and really kind of keeping them at a distance. So he really just hated what Lord Draken symbolized, because it symbolized the same kind of deceit and betrayal that a lot of the industry had already shown Jason in years past.
There you go, and I hope that clears things up to those who were asking. Sadly for the actors, as well as JDF, they can't speak out when they want to due to NDA/non-disclosure agreements. So to those of you who are asking why he didn't speak out sooner, that's why. As for me, I just found out about this recently, and I myself also questioned it, and I learned that everything Aaron said lines up with so many things that JDF said in the past about Hasbro, and so on. This is something he wanted to talk about, but again, at the time, he couldn't. And in regards to people saying that Aaron is lying and how JDF would never say that about Hasbro and the reunion, and how it's just hearsay on Aaron's part, here is the context.
Jason basically was given the story outline for the 30th anniversary, and Jason read it and then messaged me real quick. He has sent me other messages regarding this as well, but this was his first initial reaction after he read the outline.
Now, before I play this clip, I'm going to warn you all right now, this is really heavy. If you're someone who believes Aaron, or if you're sensitive to profanity, I would recommend skipping this part and going to this timestamp right here. If you're someone who thinks Aaron is lying and will only believe it if JDF says it, then you need to listen to this part. This is not misinformation, speculation, and there's nothing shady going on. If there was, I'd be the first to tell you. But Bat in the Sun is not to blame.
I just talked to Hasbro about the reunion. It's almost like they're stealing the fucking Legend of the White Dragon. Tommy hiding from his family, They got to convince him to come back to get his powers.
So there you go.
Yeah.
That's like a little bit. That's a much longer thing. But just to give you context, not fronting a lot of stuff on there.
Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. A few people in the comments have said that ideas get taken all the time in the show business and how it's just the nature of the industry, but I say again, it's the principle. White Dragon was meant to be a passion project that JDF wanted to make for the fans, and you would think that with all the time he put into Power Rangers, that Hasbro would come up with something more creative, and plus it would have just been another Tommy-focused episode. Someone else also said that it might have just been miscommunication and misplaced feelings. Hasbro knew what they were doing. Jason saw through it, and he wanted better for both himself and the fans, and the less Hasbro did that, the more frustrated he got. I get where you're coming from, but try putting yourself in his shoes. And say, for example, you are promised 10 different things, and you only get 3. Would that be just miscommunication and misplaced feelings? Or would it be the suits and ties not being worthy of your trust anymore? Also, how do you fake years upon years of frustration? Think about that.
And don't get me wrong, Jason loved Power Rangers. He didn't dislike Power Rangers. What he disliked the people behind it that were controlling it, and he was frustrated with that. And he was frustrated at giving his all and not getting anything in returns. And he hated seeing the fans disappointed time and time again. And he was like, I know how to make them happy. Let me do this. And then the studios would either, they basically lead him on and then not do it. So don't ever feel that Jason didn't like Power Rangers. He loved Power Rangers. He loved everything that it stood for. He just was frustrated that it wasn't handled the way or optimally to service the fans.
Someone also commented saying that certain YouTubers are giving JDF's family a hard time. I don't know what the deal is behind that, but if you're watching this, whoever you are that's doing that, please stop. Family matters, as well as what went on in JDF's marriage, was something he went out of his way to keep private. He rarely ever talked about that in his streams, social media, and wherever else. I know he would have Tammy and Jenna in videos from time to time, but when it came to personal and legal matters, that was something Jason chose not to talk about, and if he did, it was either in a courtroom or with his wife. Now, if any of that was made public, which I know some of it was, people can talk about it as long as they are respectful. I know many of you are still angry about what happened, and believe me, I am right there with you. I am not judging. However, getting angry at his family is not the answer. It will not solve anything, it will not bring him back, and it's not something Jason would want fans to focus on. It's the big corporations that are at fault. Lying to actors, lying to fans, yet the suits and ties will always talk about morals and ethics and how they want to amplify everybody's voices, which is a complete frickin' lie. This is why I never auditioned for Power Rangers. I didn't want to be called a helmet head, as well as be handcuffed and paid to do and say things I didn't want to do. Because in a way, when you do that, you give up part of your freedom. You're only allowed to say certain things that the suits and ties want you to say. How many years did JDF do that? How many times did he show restraint after being lied to nonstop? And how many times did he want to speak out, but couldn't because of either NDAs or wondering if fans would be upset? All of this was on his plate, and eventually it came to a head. But I refuse to blame his family. You know why? Because every marriage out there has some type of issue or problem. They are not perfect. And sometimes when it comes to things we don't expect, there is only so much we can do. We all miss JDF, and I think the best thing we can do to honor his memory is to treat each other right and learn from what he tried to teach us about big corporations, mental health, martial arts, and so on. To those of you who are still angry, as I am, take control of that anger and emotion and direct it towards what JDF tried to warn us about in regards to big corporations by spreading the word to as many people as you can and by voting with your wallets. If you want to see real change, start there. Let me know what you think, and until next time, this is John from Mr. Winnie Productions signing out. And one last thing before I go, ever since my last post, I'm seeing more and more people talk about how JDF had a dark side, how he did this and that, and how he was a very complicated person. JDF is not here to defend himself, so I will leave you with this.
He's an actor you don't know. I was talking to a friend the other day, and Jonathan, shout out. People don't know the actors. You know their characters. So stay in love with the characters and don't get involved with an actor's life unless you know them. And don't let it damper your hopes or, these guys play heroes. All right, not all of them are. I make bad choices too. We all make bad choices. We all make mistakes, but we own up for them. It's just some of the mistakes that I've made are my mistakes, but in business, you could survive in business by being honest. Don't step over people because you never know where those people are going to be, and just be transparent. Anyone out there struggling, I feel you. It's not easy to struggle regardless of what you do. We all make mistakes. That's all I got to say.